are on ancestry.com, and I do not currently have a genealogically significant research question in mind. Today is what I call a cleanup day. I know the people that are in my tree that have open facts. I don't know for certain something about them. And Ruth Elizabeth Miller is one of those ancestors. I don't know exactly when she was born, and I don't know exactly when she died. So I regularly check for new hints. Now, I do not rely on hints, but it's a tool, it's available to me, and I regularly check hints to see if there's something new that I haven't caught on to. And so that's what I'm starting out with today. And often when I'm doing cleanup like this, it leads in unexpected directions. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to just let you know what it is that I do, and see if there's anything that you can pick up that you want to apply to your research methodology. But I just let the ancestry memory trees, I just let those hang out. I don't ignore them, I don't review them. The US Social Security Applications and Claim Index, I can tell right off the bat that this is definitely my ancestor. So I'm just going to click on review and we're going to walk through that. And I know because this person is their son, that's her husband, everything lines up. So I'll click yes to get that added. And then I'm going to save to tree, and I'll bring in the people that are also on the record, and then it will save to tree for them. So that was a clearly her, Ruth Elizabeth Miller. So now as I scroll back down, the New York death index, this person died as a Miller. So that already lowers my interest in this record right now. Dies in New York, that's not an impossibility. I'm not going to look at that record currently. Now, what's funny about this is an obituary index, and it indicates that her father's last name was Miller. The middle name, I just think it's kind of quirky that likely Miller got extracted as minor. And I'm going to look at this. There's no good reason to look at this, but there's no bad reason to look at this. And since my internet is sometimes slow, looking at it is right here. So it brings me to newspapers.com publisher extra. And so clearly now I'm getting excited because her father's name was Henry or Heinrich Miller, and this is definitely his name when he died. And so this is in the St. Louis, Missouri, St. Louis Globe Democrat newspaper, and the date of publication was August 29th, 1934. This is a death notice for her father. The reason I know it's her father is because she and her husband and family did live in West Orange, New Jersey, and they had Henry Miller come and live with them at the end of his life. And then it says father of Ruth Miller Reed, which is my person, and then this was her brother, Dean Miller. And then before living in New Jersey, this whole family did live in St. Louis. And so I do not have a death date for either Ruth or Henry. And so now this has become intriguing to me. So I'm so intrigued that now I'm going to start a research log for Henrik Mueller / Henry Miller. And this is a research log that I use for most of my online work. And I put my name in because you never know when somebody else is going to find my stuff or need my research. And then I'm going to put in the name of my ancestor, and he was born as Heinrich Müller, but he lived as Henry Miller. And then the objectives could also be, what is your research question? So when did Heinrich Müller, son of Johann Michael Müller and Elisabetha. It's kind of interesting. I find that it's hard to talk and type at the same time. Like I find it hard to talk and paint at the same time. Freevogel is the mom's last name, and that's been spelt lots of different ways. And they were living in St. Louis. And so I want to know, when did he die? So this reminds me of my question. I encourage everyone to have a research log. I know that they're not, some people are really pro research log and some people are really anti research log. But when I use my research log, this is where I do all my thinking, all my creative thinking, all of my analysis, all of my comparison. Usually this area of my research log will be bigger for a research plan. I sort of lucked out into this research question, so I'm going to start right here with recording what I have found. And I just enter in what happened. If I don't have enough information to fill out each of these columns, I don't let that worry me. This is for my own use. So I didn't make a search, so I don't have any search terms. Today is the day that I found reference to the record, so I will enter today's date in, which is October 2nd. And I toggle back and forth a lot. So, and you have to figure out how you want to enter in your dates, if you want to do it all by number or what have you. So I don't like when it goes onto 2 lines, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I can always reformat when I'm done with the research. So this was on newspapers.com and Publishers Plus, I believe is what they call it. Here's I'm going to copy the URL. Now, again, I want to work quicker right now. So I'm going to paste this whole thing in. So later on, I'm going to take a closer look at this URL and I will shorten it if that's appropriate. A lot of people don't like to have these very, very long URLs. So what did I find here? Well, I have found that there was a Henry Miller who lived in West Orange, New Jersey. He passed away on August 25th, 1934. Okay, so let's get that entered into our log. So 25 August 1934. Okay. What else did we find from that very modest, short death notice? We found that this Henry Miller was the father of 2 people, Ruth Miller Reed and Dean Miller. Okay. So we'll enter that. This man was the father of Ruth Miller Reed, and that is the correct last name for my ancestor. And Dean Miller, which is the correct name in my ancestry for her brother. So that helps build evidence that this Henry Miller, because obviously that's a very common name, which is one of the reasons why I haven't been able to drill down an exact date of death. So it also lists the place in St. Louis where the service was and where the interment was. So we can note those things. So what am I going to do next? Well, check for a burial record at Wagoneer Chapel and Sunset Burial Park. Also, check for a funeral home in New Jersey that the family may have used for transport. Okay. There isn't a document number. I don't really worry about grammar so much in these documents. So again, my micro reporting field is where I synthesize what I have found here, and then I reword it here. And ultimately, what I do here is going to go into my database. And then here we have an opportunity for a citation. So I've cleaned up the research log entry a little bit, and I just wanted to point out that I've entered in my citation referencing the name of the newspaper, the date of publication. I was able to go back to the digital image and pick up the page number, and I was able to confirm the column count, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the fourth column. So I was able to add that to my citation. And then on the newspaper image up at the top, you'll notice the title was Deaths. So I'm able to note that. And then in parentheses, we put the subtitle, which in this case was his name, last name first. And then, so it's important to decide whether you want to cite the original and so the original being the St. Louis Globe Democrat, and then the current database, newspapers.com, Publishers Plus. So there's differing theories on how much URL to put into your citations. So I mentioned earlier that we could probably trim this down. There's several places where you can potentially trim down a URL, but one of the most obvious and usually works is by getting rid of everything after the question mark. And so that indeed worked. I tested it over here and it brings up the same image. On the micro reporting, I indicated on 29 August 1934, the St. Louis Globe Democrat newspaper published a death notice for Henry Miller. I've got a typo here, so here we can fix that up. He died in West Orange, Essex, New Jersey, United States. Not everybody would put in United States here, but I know that the previous generation back wasn't born in the United States, so it's going to be super helpful for clarification. He was the father of Ruth Miller Reed and Dean Miller, again, according to the article. There was a service at Wagoneer Chapel on 29 August 1934 with burial at Sunset Burial Park. The only thing I added extra was the county for the location. I happen to know West Orange is in Essex County. So now I am off to do my follow-up steps and look for some records that might involve Wagoneer Chapel and then Sunset Burial Park. It's been great talking with you.